Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. And as always, I hope that you enjoy Xenobiology Homework, written by Poseidon _____. Alright everyone, that concludes our first couple days of Xenobiology 101. For homework, please read Chapter 3 of your textbook, as we will be covering the material over the course of the next week. I strongly suggest that you all read it, as it will greatly improve your comprehension. See you all on Monday. Feck! Well, at least Jacob had the weekend to read the chapter. Hopefully, it will be short. At least he didn't buy it for 300 credits, only to not use it. The rest of the class all got up from their seats with him and crowded through the tiny door into the lecture hall. A couple of the weird people, some lizards, a bunch of those furry guys. He hoped that they weren't as weird as humans of the same group. So far, so good. As he was walking to his dorm, Jacob reflected on his xenobiology class. For a class he picked by closing his eyes and jamming his finger at the list of classes to fill the science requirement, it wasn't too bad. So far it had only been the syllabus. Thank God the teacher went over it in class, a calendar for the semester, and a list of topics that they would be covering. Walking into his dorm, Jacob decided just to get the reading out of the way. He didn't have any plans, and he wanted to explore the campus. He'd be there for a while, and having the whole weekend to discover stuff would be better than cutting it short for reading. Sighing, he put down his bag, took out his xenobiology textbook, sat down on his bunk, and began reading. Chapter 3, Convergence of Evolution. So far, we have covered the origin of organic molecules and evolution in broad terms. In this chapter, we will focus on a phenomenon coined by the humans before their first contact, convergent evolution. 3.1. Origin of the theory. While many biologists from many species have noted this is one example or another on their respective planets, Earth seems uniquely suited to convergent evolution. Of course, this phenomenon is widely present in the galaxy as a whole, but rarely on individual planets. While there are a number of hypotheses as to why Earth has a much higher rate, the most widely accepted one proposed simple charts as the reason. Regardless of the cause for convergent evolution, anyone can determine its importance by looking at the races of the galaxy. There are numerous traits that all share in common, regardless of planet of origin. Before humans were inducted into the Galactic Republic, there was a quiet debate as to how species from different planets could evolve similar features. However, when the first human delegate to xenobiology affairs arrived, they immediately explained their concept of convergent evolution. Simply, the convergent evolution theory states that populations of organisms under similar environmental pressures can develop analogous features. For example, the sharks of Earth were once widely believed to be just another type of fish, with some peculiarities. However, it was discovered that sharks and other fishes diverged very early in the planet's succession. While it may seem that both sharks and fishes have scales, sharks do not. The scales on the shark are actually modified dental structures which now provide protection. This is a prime example of convergent evolution. Both sharks and other fish diverged before their common ancestors developed scales. When environmental pressures favored organisms that were more resilient, both groups developed structures similar in appearance and function, albeit by different means. The simplicity of the human solution caused much groaning in the xenobiology field, but nonetheless it became the foremost theory, with considerable evidence already behind it from Earth. Humanity's contribution to the xenobiology field was the first of many, which will be discussed in later chapters. 3.2. Application of convergent evolution galaxy-wide. Think of your xenobiology class. How many different species of the galaxy are in your class? Probably at least 4 or 5. There are the feathered but flightless Faqua. Males have bright red feathers, while the females are dull blue. The scaled Oreganas, the humans, with small amount of hair on their bodies but thicker on the cranium. Females have more on top on the cranium, while males tend to grow more on their face. or the chitinous vicara. Think of these species. What do they have in common? Before proceeding, write down your thoughts in your notebook. All 4 species listed, as well as the vast majority of species in the Galactic Republic, share many characteristics. For one, all are upright, with appendages not used for day-to-day transportation. Humans are bipedal, with arms, as well as the Fouquois. The Iragonans have a tail they can use to help swim, but otherwise are also bipedal, with 2 grasping appendages. The Vicara are quadrupedal, but once again have 2 appendages used for holding objects. A strange case, the Icarians walk on 6 appendages, but have 4 for grasping. Another commonality is that all species are either omnivorous or carnivorous. All were predators before true sapience developed, with ocular sensors positioned in front of the cranium for depth perception. Furthermore, all species in the Galactic Republic are social. All live in increasingly large circles of others, beginning with immediate blood relatives that raised them from young, and expanding into social circles that they spend their time with. Beyond that, all species naturally form small communities that at some point become towns, then cities, and eventually nations. Among all species, war and tribalism are constants, although the extent to which they are present can vary. For this reason, only a few species, more peaceful than most, have ever unified as planets or species, despite nearly all hoping to be able to achieve it. These 4 examples are by far the most prominent in the galactic community, and before humanity's introduction puzzled even the most learned of xenobiologists. However, they can all be explained by convergent evolution. The first example, 1 set of appendages for transportation and 1 for grasping, is now one of the necessary requirements for a species to develop sapience. Tool use is one of the prerequisites for civilization, and if all appendages are used for transportation, tools cannot be utilized effectively. This is linked to the second example, the apparent lack of herbivores that have developed sapience. Having appendages to grasp tools is far more advantageous to a predator than to a herbivore. Herbivores can certainly evolve intelligence, but none have ever developed what can be called sapience. The closest any have ever come are the Faya of the Fouquois homeworld, along with elephants and gorillas of the human homeworld. Carnivores, with their superior depth perception, can accurately throw or jab a spear, which greatly improves the chance of a successful hunt and reproductive success. An herbivore with a tool might be able to fend off predators or reach more food, but would often lack the depth perception to effectively fight off a predator with precision, and thus tool use would not confer any great benefit. The 2 other examples listed, social circles and war, are also linked. Predators that live in groups are often more successful on hunts, and the successful hunts of others can support one who failed a hunt. Furthermore, to work in groups there must be a form of communication which can lead to language, which leads to abstract thought. A lone predator that only focuses on the next meal does not have the leisure to risk wasting energy on play or innovation. But with social groups comes a terrible price. War. All species war. Some are more prone to it than others, but all have it. Among predators, conflict is inevitable. Competition for resources can cause one group to split into 2, or force 2 groups that could previously coexist to fight for survival. Furthermore, to work in social groups requires individuals to be able to trust one another, something that is generally built over time and stronger with familiarity. However, distrust in outsiders becomes natural, as outsiders do not have the familiarity or time to develop it. The level of this distrust from species to species often varies based on how much competition was present when their species developed on their home planet, but it will always be there. Humanity once again has a term for this. They call it xenophobia, which along with many more of the words such as xenobiology is derived from one of the most ancient cultural languages. As a species level civilization increases, xenophobia becomes more and more of a problem. What once was a basic survival mechanism now has the potential to field armies or fire a nuclear warhead, ending thousands or millions of sapiens in war. Evolution is not perfect. It is an editor, only able to make tiny changes across very long stretches of time. Societal change will always outpace that of evolution, and what once helped the species survive eventually hinders its progress, or even threatens itself with extinction once the species can split the atom. Convergent evolution explains to us why all these things are constants in the galaxy, whether they be prerequisites for sapiens or a side effect of it. Understanding the links between how life and sapiens evolve is crucial to a xenobiologist. Xenobiologists must be able to determine what compounds will be toxic to one species or helpful to another. Knowing which treatments can be administered to all species can save a life or end one. Understanding convergent evolution will greatly improve your understanding of almost every other principle in this book. By mastering the fundamentals, you will be able to understand and apply the advanced topics found in this textbook. Comprehension check. Number 1. Why is convergent evolution so important to the functioning of galactic society? Number 2. How can convergent evolution be applied to your home world? Number 3. Can the convergent evolution of spacefaring species explain how some species are more similar than others? Jacob sat in silence. On the one hand, xenobiology was looking really cool. On the other, it looked like this would require a lot of effort to keep a good grade in. End of story. The algorithm reckons you should be watching this video next, and I recommend that you should be always watching my video. So, click with energy! And yes, clicking that does help the channel. Thank you very much. I would just quickly like to give thanks to our Tier 5 members: Elithia, Barky, Feudicuel, Meridian 117, Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Albarden Gusta, Savage Patch Papa, and Lord Azrakal.